Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. What do you think of this guy? Isn't he super duper cute? I absolutely think he's adorable. I saw a picture on Pinterest, and no, I don't just go to the pattern and get the pattern and everything. I see a picture and then I need to do it. And I need to do it for myself. Like, I don't follow a pattern. I made this little guy up, so he may not be exactly what's on Pinterest, but he is so close to what's on Pinterest, and I just thought he was so super cute. I'm not going to use these colors today. I think I'm going to use, I don't know what I'm going to use. I haven't really decided. Maybe yellow. Anyway, get the colors that you want for this cute little snuggly guy. And let's jump right into this. So I decided that he is going to be this beige color. I don't have the tag, so I'm not sure. Most of my yarn's Craft Smart because I absolutely love Craft Smart or Bernat. So if that helps, it's just a light brown. This is leftover ivy green, so I'm going to use that for the leaf. And this is just the thing I wrapped around it. So that's just leftover ivy, Craft Smart. This feels like a Bernat, and it's just a super duper light yellow. So I'm going to use that for the shell of my guy. The nose is crocheted. The safety eyes, I think, I'm not sure. I've got two packages and I'm not sure which one I took them out, but they could be 8mm. That's the ones they could be, is 8mm. They're tiny. So that's a guess. I'm not 100% sure. The 3.5 that I'm going to use is only going to be for the little leaf. The rest of the project will be done in a 4mm. So I say we just jump right into this. No more screwing around. So we're going to do the body first. So I'm going to get my light brown for the body. So we're going to do a magic ring. So if you're not familiar with the magic ring, so I hold it obviously like this. I'm going to wrap it around these two fingers. I'm going to go across my ring finger and I'm going to hold it with this guy, with my pinky. And then I come up under this guy and I grab a hold of him and I pull him through and then I twist. And then I come over here and I pick up this and I pull it through that little twist to do my chain 1. So that's how I do a magic ring. I don't know if that helps you or not. And I'm going to do 6 single crochets. That is my 6. You will need a stitch marker. So I needed him to be a little pointy on the end, so I didn't do a 2 single crochets for the next row. I did 1 single crochet increase, only because I needed to have a little bit of a point. So using a stitch marker, put that in your first single crochet, and then your next one gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat that. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets. You're going to do that one more time. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets in the same space. So I'm going to pull my middle closed and I'm going to flip this around. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. It's going to decide it doesn't want to come out of the middle. That's number 2. And then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. I'm just weaving in my straggler from my magic ring. So I'm not sure how big this is going to be when I'm done with the yarn that I'm using. But let me just measure this guy for you. He was about 5 inches long. Oh, helps if I'm on camera. So that's 5 inches there, and that's about his butt, just about. So little guy, little short guy. And he stands about 5 inches tall too, 5.5 inches tall. So that gives you any indication. Now I'm using different yarn and stuff with this one, so he's probably going to be a different size, I would imagine. Different yarns will be different sizes. So your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in what should be 12 stitches. We just did 12 the hard way just so I could have the point. So that's my 12th stitch. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 15 stitches. Now that is number 1. Always number 1. That's my 3 single crochets, and then your next stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space. So you're going to see this on my pause screen. You're going to see it written with brackets, and on my channel, something written in brackets means the same space. Generally, unless I write something different. Alright, your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 18 stitches. That's my 4 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 21 stitches, and that's kind of where I wanted you to be. That's number 1. That is 5 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. So, round 7 to 12, 6 rows of just 1 single crochet in each of those 21 stitches. That's all you gotta do. Pretty easy peasy. If you don't have yet a row counter, you can buy these on Amazon dirt cheap. No, Amazon does not pay me to say stuff like that. I actually have nobody that pays me to say stuff. I have no sponsors. So Amazon is not a sponsor. I buy everything off of Amazon. I do have one that I got from Hobby Lobby for free for an order that I did. So Hobby Lobby might send you one for free if you shop online. And I have some around here from Walmart. They have little lights on them, which I actually think is stupid. They're smaller, so I like these bigger ones. And these bigger ones I got in a package of 3 from Amazon. So, and it has a light too, but who crochets at night? I mean, I crochet at night, but my lights are on in my room when I do it. Who crochets in the dark is what I should say. So anyway, I digress. So 6 rows, 21 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So that is my 6 stitches. That's what you should have. That's what it should look like. So we're going to start decreasing. So that was pretty much this part. This guy is going to be bigger because my yarn is different. But that's that part of him. So we're going to start decreasing so we can get to the neck and do that part. So your first decrease is going to be 5 single crochets and a decrease. Because we ended with 5 single crochets and an increase. So that's number 1. So your decrease, that's 5 single crochets by the way. So your decrease, you can do it any way you want. And now that you guys are a little more familiar with my channel, I do invisible decreases. They're not invisible. However, they do cut down on the amount of space, like holes. You know, you do decrease and you'll get these holes. Where's my camera? You'll get these holes, fairly large holes. I'm using that as an example, even though I'm not sure what that's caused by. I'm not sure. Well, that actually might be a decrease. Anyway, you get the large holes. When you do an invisible decrease, the holes just are smaller. And it's not so bumpy, but it's not completely invisible. So I do a normal decrease is go into the stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next one, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through. An invisible decrease is the exact same thing, except for you go through the front loops. That's the only difference. Go through the front loops. And therefore, the holes are smaller than they would be normally. So it's completely up to you, whatever you want to do. Either way, it's still 5 single crochets and a decrease. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease. We have to be aggressive about this, so if you want to put some stuffing in there, you can do that. I'm going to wait a little minute. So I'm going to shove some stuffing in there. After I just said I was going to wait a minute. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease, and then we're going to start the neck. So you may find the neck weird. I know I always say stuff like that. It's because I design my own stuff. I don't know how other people do it. So I don't know if it's weird or not, but it may be weird. So this is where we do things a little bit differently. I want you to do 7 single crochets. Don't worry about stitch marker. That's my 7 single crochets. Now I want you to chain 1 and turn. So now we're looking at the back of our work, and we're going to go back this way. And now I want you to do 2 single crochets. So pull this back, there's a stitch right there. Oh, it's so hard to see. But there's a stitch right there. So I want you to do 2 single crochets. I want you to do a decrease. You don't have much choice here for whether it's invisible or not. And then I want you to do 2 single crochets. I want you to chain 1 and turn your work. Now I want you to do 1 single crochet. I want you to do a decrease and 2 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. So now we've got some little flappy thingy like this. This round is going to be 1 single crochet, a decrease, and 1 single crochet. Chain 1, turn your work. So I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 3 stitches. As you're creating stitches down, I want you to do 1 single crochet decrease. So that's 1 single crochet and then a decrease. And that pretty much brings you to the bottom where you're going to do 6 stitches. Now 6 stitches will bring you back around to the corner of, the corner of this, where I want you to do 1 single crochet decrease back up. So that takes up the whole side of this thing. So now you're back at the top. That's going to be your new marker spot. You're going to probably want to put some stuffing in this. You're going to do 1 single crochet decrease 3 times, and then you're going to do, you'll have 2 single crochets left over if you did everything I just told you to do. So this is my first stitch. My thing is purple, so it really matches that purple. Sometimes I lose it. So that's my 1 single crochet, and then my decrease. That pretty much takes care of the 3 stitches I had at the top. Well, that was already 3 times, and I'm not even back around yet. So I lied. Try 4 times. And then 1 single crochet. So I did it 4 times with 1 single crochet. So I'm not sure what the heck I was lying about here. So that's where you're going to get some of your bigger holes from, is the decreases that we did around. But so far, this little cocoon is what you should have. So, your next 3 rounds, you're just going to do 1 single crochet, and what I wrote down was 10 stitches, so we'll see. But 1 single crochet in each stitch around for 3 rows. Well, that's 9 stitches for me. So somehow I'm either short a stitch or I completely wrote down wrong things when I first made this, but I'm not too worried about 1 stitch. Please, please, please don't attack me in the comments for this. It's just 1 stitch. So this is what it should look like. This little pod cigar type looking thing. Funny, funny. So for the next 3 rows, so we need this to kind of turn a little bit. So for the next 3 rows, you're going to do, so I said I have 9 stitches. Originally I thought I had 10, or I did have 10. So I originally wrote down 4 half doubles and 6 singles, but I have 9 stitches, so I'm just going to do half doubles. Whoops. I need it to bend this way, so I need to start with half doubles. So what's the matter? What's the matter? My cat never does this. I have no idea. What's wrong? You never do this to me. And that was weird. Okay. My cat's a Russian blue, and he's very well trained, and I don't understand what he's doing to me right now. But considering I'm in the spooky basement, it's kind of freaking me out. Anyway, yeah, so I got 9 stitches. So I'm just gonna do, well, I want more singles. So however many stitches you have, I want more single crochets than I want half doubles. So the half doubles I only want on the outside here, and all the singles I want in here to pull it that way, for the curve to be that way. So I'm going to do 4 half doubles and then 5 singles. So 4 half doubles brings me right around to a pretty good spot that now I can just put my singles in. So it should pull it down that way. So I want you to do that for 3 rows. So originally, if you have 10 stitches, because I might have lost one along the way, I'm not sure. If you have 10 stitches, I originally wrote down 4 half doubles and 6 singles. So I'm just going to carry on 2 more rows of whichever you have. So you should have that kind of a bend in it. It's hard to see, my light's glaring a bit. So you should have that kind of a bend in it. The next row is just going to be 1 single crochet in your 10 stitches or your 9 stitches. If you're like me, I got 9 stitches. So I'm just going to do 1 single crochet in my 9 stitches. I'm going to use my stitch marker. I didn't use my stitch marker when I was doing the half doubles. So 1 single crochet in each stitch round. I'm just going to put 2 stitches in this last one just to make it 10 stitches. Because that's going to drive me nuts that all my numbers are wrong now. So you don't have to do that if you don't want to do that, but it's going to drive me nuts if I don't have the 10 stitches that I originally said I had. So it's up to you. I'm a little anal about stuff like that. Oh, I don't know if I can say anal. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. We got to start increasing for his noggin. That's 1 single crochet, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. This should bring you up to 15 stitches. So if you would have had an extra stitch, that extra stitch we had earlier, you're going to carry that extra stitch the whole way. FYI. So your next, oh my gosh, my cat just used the litter box. My gosh. Your next round is 2 single crochets and an increase. Oh my gosh, I'm going to die. That's number 1, that's number 2, and an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So, I would continue to stuff it as you go. But stuff this bend in his neck like there's supposed to be a bend in his neck. So you're going to have to stuff it like that. So it bends. So it bends. And you won't have to constantly be fixing this. Like it's just going to stay like that. The way I do it. So you'll have to stuff it with the bend, because his head's supposed to be all tilted backwards. That's kind of how I designed him, because that's how the picture on Pinterest was. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. That's 4 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So this brings you up to 30 stitches. After this, and I'm going to put it on my screen, I want you to do 3 rows of just 1 single crochet in each of those 30 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. This is what it should look like. So we're going to start decreasing. So whatever stuff you got to get down into that neck area, get it down in there. We're going to do 1 more row and then we're going to put the eyes on. So you might want to get those ready as well. Or start decreasing. So you're going to do 4 single crochets and a decrease. So that's number 1. That's 4 single crochets. Because I'm going to be layering my decreases, I'm going to use the invisible decrease in the front loops only and repeat. So that part's done. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. I guess if you wanted them facing the other way, you'd do it on the other side, but that's number 1, that's 2 and 3, and then a decrease. This will bring you down to 20 stitches. So he has a really funny shaped head at this point, but that's just because we don't have the nose and the mouth on, so it's going to be quite comical for a bit. So let's make sure we stuff this guy properly so that he's got some cheekies, because he's supposed to have some cheekies. So, I'm just going to make sure I'm getting down into that neck part, but I like to dig a hole and then fill the hole in. So far, so cute. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. So your second to last round is going to be 1 single crochet decrease, and then your last round is just going to be 1 single crochet. So I'll put both of those on the pause screen. And I will see you on the other side. So, I'm done my 10. So, the reason I did that extra 1 single crochet around is I kind of wanted a little point on top of his head, because he's going to have 2, antennas. 2 antennas up there. So... So make sure you stuff this all the way. You can fasten off. All you need is a weaving tail. That's how much I had left from that little tiny roll. So it doesn't take much to build him at all. So we're just going to cinch his top of his head shut. So you're going to go into the front loops of everything. So in the front loop, out the front loop, just like that. My 6th time, I'm all the way back around, and I'm just going to pull. So you pull that closed like that. You can pop across, go through the loopy loop. You're securing this with a knot. So give it a wiggle. That makes for a nice round head at the top, and then you can just weave. I just kind of push it down while I pull on this to make his head a little more nicer looking on top, but that's what it should look like on top. Attractive enough that talked to it enough that it looks good. That was going to be a stupid statement, but we are putting antenna up there, so it doesn't really, I'm not going to make a really huge difference. I did not cut that off very well. There we go. So now you just kind of adjust this guy. There we go. His little alien body for now. It does look better once the shell and everything and the antenna is on. And so, let's just complete his face and get that already done, because it's such a tiny little thing. The nose, let's start, because I made the nose the same color as the body in the original guy, just so it wasn't that noticeable. And that's him, his profile. I did give him a pretty big mouth, so just ignore that. But his nose, I wanted it to stick out like a nose, and I could have sewed one on, and you can sew one on if you want. But I chose to make one. I don't know why. It's not very often that I choose to make one. It's just when I did sew one on, it just didn't look big enough. I just felt like it should be bigger. So make a magic ring and put 6 single crochets in here. And then all you're going to do is just do 1 row of 1 single crochet in each stitch. So that's my 6 single crochets. And then I just did 6 single crochets. And that was my nose. That's it. And depending on how tight you work, so I'm just going to fasten off with a sewing tail. So just depending on how tight you crochet, all depends on how tight this nose is. So we're going to have to probably weave this in, because we weren't able to crochet this in, and we don't really want our nose coming undone. And then I'm going to flip my nose around to this side. So you're still going to have a bump on it like that. Oh, it's so hard to see. There we go. You're going to have a bump on it like that. But that's okay. So that's your tiny little nose. It is so super duper small that it doesn't take much to sew this bad boy on. So I'm going to take some yellow to just do his face. Now I did sew his mouth, or glue his mouth in place, just so his mouth didn't move, but I also never ended up liking his mouth when I was done. So it doesn't matter where you go in, just matters where you pop out. So pop out wherever you want. You're going to want, if you want a happy face on this guy, you're going to want his eyelids to be more off to the side and not above his eyelids. Just make sure that when you come across, you're even. Pull them out a bit. So he looks happy. And just make sure when you go back down. So when I go back down, I'm going to pop out here where I want my mouth to be. And then I think my mouth, I'm just going to put a big crooked mouth on him. So I'm just going to put a big crooked mouth, just because I can. Anyway, there's my little face on my little guy. He's kind of funny looking, but he won't be so bad when we do the rest of them. So let's do the shell next. Alright, so the shell, pick whatever color you're going to use. I'm going to use yellow. For the next 2 rows, you're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. I'm going to use my stitch marker. So that's my 1 single crochet, and then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's number 2. And then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So we are making the top of the shell. We're starting at the top and moving and going down to the bottom. And this is going to be the part that gets twisted or like rolled. So we're not going to be stuffing it, so don't stuff this at all. So for the next 16 rows, you're going to do 1 single crochet, and that'll be all of what I just showed you, all of this. So for the next 16 rows, you're going to do 1 single crochet in each of those 12 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. This is what you should have. It's funny looking, and it's not stuffed, because we gotta roll it like that. So we're gonna start increasing for the base of it. So we're gonna do 3 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. 3 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase, and it's going to take you up to 18 stitches. And then I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of those 18 stitches after. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase. Excuse me, bringing you up to 21 stitches. And then after this, I want you to do 2 single crochet, or 2 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 21 stitches. That's 5 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So follow my screen prompts, and I will see you on the other side. Our next round is going to be, that was my 2 rounds, by the way. I didn't have a stitch marker and I just counted to 42. So your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1 with your marker. That's my 6 single crochets, and then my increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So this brings you up to 24 stitches. So after this, for the next 3 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have at this point. Looks pretty funny. So your next round, so we're not stuffing this until we're actually done rolling it. So we're going to roll it, get it to where we want, sew it, then we'll concern ourselves with stuffing it before we sew it to the body of the snail. So your next round is going to be 7 single crochets and an increase. And this will bring you up to 27 stitches. And then after this, you can do 4 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 27 stitches. Alright, so this is what you should have. It's pretty funny looking. So, from here we're going to do increase, increase, increase. We're not going to be doing any more in between rows. So your next round is going to be 8 single crochets and an increase. Your next round is going to be 9 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 33 stitches. Your next round is going to be 10 single crochets and an increase, so this will be our final round, and this will be 36 stitches. So our next round, we're going to be putting this on. So you will have a choice to make. I put mine on in the front loops only, but you can make the decision whether to go into the full loops. It's just, I wanted to use the stitches here to be able to sew it down, hoping that I would get this curl, but you might actually like it to be like that, so you may want to just do it in a full stitch, and that way you can sew. I mean, you can sew right into that anyway. Like, all I have to do right now is just put stitches in there, but it's completely up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. I like the curl just because, I mean, this is just supposed to look like the bottom of a shell. It's not supposed to be decorative little fringe, which is what it looks like when it's down. So I chose to do all of this in the front loops only, and I chose double crochets. So you're going to see this written in brackets, and again, brackets on my channel mean the same space. So we're going to start. Our repeat is just a simple repeat. To start, I want you to go into the front loops or the full stitch with a double crochet. I want you to put 3 in there all together. So that's 3 double crochets in the front loop. I want you to skip the next stitch, which is right there. So you're going to have to pull this gob of stuff back. Your next stitch is there. I want you to skip it and go into this one and do a slip stitch. And then I want you to repeat that. So into the next front loop, 3 double crochets. So if you're using worsted weight, you might want to skip a couple of spaces because it'll get really, really squishy. Skip one, go into the next stitch, slip stitch. So if you don't want these very pronounced, you can do a single crochet instead of a slip stitch in that space. So that's your repeat. Then the very next stitch, you start again. So I've come back around because it's amigurumi. This looks like it's higher than this, which it probably is. So I'm going to do my skip one, and I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to slip stitch. Let's try this again. So I've got a couple of stitches before I start my thing, but that's fine. I'm going to skip one and go into the next stitch because I want to kind of make this look a little more even, and I'm going to slip stitch and fasten off. So you're going to need a sewing tail. So with this sewing tail, you've got all, if you used your front loops, you do have all kinds of back loops underneath here. And I'm going to go down, excuse me, into one of my back loops because I'm going to use that to sew. And at this point you can pull that down to make it look like the dip in between the scallop. So set that aside for now. This is what you should have. Pretty funny looking. So I just want you to take a small piece of your yellow And we're going to start rolling this. So you can roll this as tight as you want it. And as much as you want. So that's about where I probably will roll it to, and then this part I'm going to stuff. But if you don't want to roll it down that far, you don't have to. It all depends on what it looks like on your guy, right? So mine's going to be that way. So that's as far as I'm going to roll mine. I'm going to tie these two together in a tight double knot. I'm going to snip it off short, and I'm going to poke it down. There. And then the rest of this gets stuffed and sewn to your snail. So try not to overstuff it. So you can do some stuffing and then you can start sewing on like 3/4 of it and then come back and finish your stuffing. So I'm all the way around. I put my more stuffing inside of it. I was just trying to find my beads and I can't find my beads, but I'm just going to make a small knot and then I'm going to weave. Sorry, I don't know if I was even on camera. So wiggle back and forth to make that knot super duper 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 small, and then I'm just going to weave up into my guy, and when I pull that, the knot disappears. So that's not going anywhere. So this will just naturally roll up on its own. You don't need to force it. It'll just naturally do it. I was really hoping to find my beads because the one on Pinterest, they didn't do it for this guy, but the one on Pinterest actually shows beads all the way around, these white pearl beads, and I thought it was super pretty. Now, I didn't do it for my original prototype, but I can't find my beads. But I found yellow glitter glue. So, since that's going to roll up like that naturally, I want to make sure that I put my glue somewhere it might be noticeable. So I'm just going to put big dots of glue like that all around here. So it just looks, when it dries, it'll just look like beads, since I can't find my beads. And yes, it's yellow. You can use any color you want if you're doing what I'm doing. It's just super pretty. I love the glitter. I'm a fan of glitter glue. So easy to work with. So that's going to sit and dry while I do the antennas and the leaf. So I'm just going to set that aside and we'll move on. So the leaf, I can wait. Let's do this first. Do the antenna. We start with yellow. And our 4. So you're going to make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. So this will bring you up to 9 stitches. And you're just going to do this 3 times. One single crochet, 2 single crochet, all the way around. So you can flip this over. Your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of those 9 stitches, and then you're going to switch to your brown. Well, I'm going to switch to my brown, but I don't know what color you are using for your snail. Whatever color you're using for your snail, that's going to be your next color. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around for a total of 9 stitches. I'm just going to count instead of using my stitch marker. That's my 9th stitch. I did weave in my tail. So, because we're changing color, I'm not going to finish this 9th stitch. So I'm going to finish that last stitch with my color change. So I like to make things easy on myself, and I like to tie the colors together in a double knot. Just be careful of the tension you use. So these 2 pieces just got tucked down. You kind of use it as stuffing for the very tippy top. You're going to have to stuff as you go, but the very first thing we're going to do is work in the back loops, just to make this look like it's actually a ball on top of the antenna. So that's the whole point of the back loop. So we're just going to do 1 single crochet. Well, we're going to do a 1 single crochet decrease in the back loop. So that's what was my 1 single crochet, and then my decrease. So you don't really have an option of the invisible decrease here. So that's going to look like a bulbous bulb on top of this antenna. You're going to have to stuff as you go, like I said, but for the next 5 rows, so you're just going into the full stitch. Now, for the next 5 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches, and then we're going to increase for the end, last row. So that's my 5 rows. That's what it should look like. So your last round is just going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. And then you can fasten off and build your other one. So I will put currently what you're doing on the first page. And then the next page will be what you have to do to make another one. It'll be the pattern for the other one, basically. And I will see you on the other side. So that's where I've got it pinned. Sideways with the eye type situation. So I'm just trying to line it up with the eyeballs. So I'm not going to sew these on camera. Because I suck at sewing. I just wanted to show you. Oh, I just stuck my finger in the glue. There. I just wanted to show you where I was pinning them, how I was pinning them when I was doing. So, go ahead and sew yours on, and I will see you right back here. So, you can adjust these to look any way they want if you didn't overstuff them. So we're changing hooks. We're going to go to the 3.5. The leaf, this is a thicker 4-weight. I don't think it's worsted. No, it's just a 4-weight. It's just thick. So you're going to start with a magic ring. And you're going to put 6 single crochets inside that ring. So try to keep this loose so that if it is the thicker green like I'm using and the small hook, it's not going to curl. That's what my last one did. It looks fine, but just try to keep it loose. And if you want to do extended stitches, I would suggest that. That's what I'm going to do. So go into your first stitch, you're going to do 1 single crochet. I'm just going to pull up a bit and do an extended stitch. The next stitch, you're going to do 2 double crochets in the same space. So again, I'm going to make it extended. I'm going to pull up a bit. Your next stitch, you're going to do 2 half triple crochets. So you're going to yarn over twice. And no, this is not a treble. I don't know how many times I have to say this in a video. This is not a treble. A treble is a UK term for double crochet. This is a triple. So yarn over twice, go into your stitch, pull up a loop. So I'm going to pull up to do an extended one. I'm going to yarn over, this is the half triple. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through 2. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 3. That's the half triple. So put another one in there. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. I love the half triple. It's not as sloppy as the triple. Your very next stitch, you're going to do a triple crochet. So a triple is pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. So you pull through 2 3 times, which makes it a triple. From here, so I'm going to point out something first. Everyone seems to have a problem with the picot. These 2 stitches, so those 2 bars, this is from the stitch, which would be your front loop, on the stitch that's on your hook, and then the bar from the last pull through 2 that you did, that's where you're going to do your picot. So you're going to chain 2, and this is where you're going to picot. You're going to go through the front loop of the stitch you're in, and then the first bar of the pull through 3, the 3 times, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, that's the first bar from the pull through 2. So that's where you do your picot. So then you're just going to grab it and slip stitch. So I'm going to do an extended one again. So I'm just going to pull up a little and then slip stitch. That's going to put the point on your leaf. That's the whole point of a picot, is to put a point. So in this same stitch, I want you to do another triple. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. So you've got this point, which will be a little more pronounced once we're done this. The next stitch, I want you to do 2 half triples. So yarn over twice, go into your stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 3. Put another one in there. So that's your leaf so far. I'm going to do 2 double crochets extended into the next stitch. So all I'm doing now is just what I did on the other side. But I already feel like my leaf is going to roll, so where my marker is, I'm going to slip stitch into. I'm going to chain 5. This is just the stem of the leaf. And I'm going to slip stitch 4 back up, which is just the stem, because the 5th one is still on your hook. So do a slip stitch in each stitch back up. This is the last one. Then I want you to go in to the same spot you just started and do another slip stitch to fasten off with a sewing tail. Now make it quite a long sewing tail, because we're going to wrap around the shell with it. So that is your leaf. So I'm just going to close my middle up there. So if you feel the need to block this, go right ahead. I'm going to tuck in my thing here. I'm going to weave. And this is just from my magic ring, because I don't really want anything to happen to it. Like, I don't want it to come undone. So if you want a little hole in the middle of your leaf, you can just kind of leave this loosey-goosey and then sew it in. You don't need to pull it tight. But me, I'm just gonna weave it in a couple of times. And then I take this and I wrapped the green around. And again, my handy dandy glue. Because I do not want some of my leaf, I don't really want it to roll. And I don't really want my stem to, so there. So mine's just gotta dry a bit. Zoom out here. Super duper cute. Thanks for joining me, guys. That's the end of the video. I'll see you in the next video.